Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Larry Little. As you may know, after Governor Newsome's announcement last week, some businesses in the county will be allowed to reopen. Some will not. Betty Young is here to discuss all of that that's happening here in the county. But first, I want to let you know, prior to this segment, we have removed our face coverings so everyone, including the American Sign Language interpreters, can understand and clearly communicate the information that we will be sharing here this morning. So, Betty, what's the latest?
Hi, good morning, Larry, and good morning to everyone joining us today. Thank you for staying tuned. So, yes, as of Friday, a new state framework was issued, introducing a tier system that replaces the previous framework. So under this new framework, starting today, the highlights are salons and barbershops, hair services are allowed to resume business inside. I want to remind everyone that any business that is operating needs to have a social distancing protocol completed and submitted at COVID-19prepared.org. Please do so as soon as possible if you haven't done so already. If you've completed a social distancing protocol previously in the past, you may need to do it again, so please check out COVID-19prepared.org to make sure what your requirements are. But hair salons and barbershops allowed to resume business indoors today. I know that that's something that we've been waiting a long time for. I constantly hear from the hair industry, and I know that's something that you all have been thoroughly prepared for since July 13th. So all the mandatory directives for hair salons and barbershops remain in place, and you must implement those directives in order to be in compliance with the current health order. Unfortunately, there has been no status update for nail salons, nail services to resume operations indoors. Nail services must still be required to provide services outdoors, and we are keeping close on the status of that conversation with the state, and hopefully we'll have an update for everyone soon. At this time, esthetician services are allowed to continue operating outdoors. No indoor services yet for our esthetician industry, and the health order still prohibits services to the face. So facials, brow waxing, brow shaping, lash procedures, any services to the face any service to the face that requires removal of a face covering on the part of the client is still prohibited here in Santa Clara County. I want to acknowledge that we've heard from the esthetician service industry, the community. This is a strong community who adheres to the highest standards. I want to acknowledge that. We have heard from you all the challenges and the ongoing struggles with maintaining your small business, which are predominantly owned by women, by immigrant communities, business owners, and we want to support you. And at this time, the status of COVID and the status of the state's order does not allow us to move forward with the resumption of indoor services for esthetician services. And I just want to mention that you may be hearing some background noise, folks. There is construction happening on site right now that we had no control over. So all the numbers and resources today will be listed at the bottom. I also want to put out there that we do have a business call center where you can call as workers, as employers, as managers, owner-operators for clarity around what needs to happen for your business and the status of your business. That number is 408-961-5500. 408-961-5500. Please give that number a call if you need clarity or just more information around what your business is allowed and not allowed to do under the current health order in conjunction with the state's new framework. I also want to add that we also have a new website set up that goes active today, and it allows for members of the public, for workers, for owner-operators to call, to dial in, to go to this website, visit this website, and share your concerns about workplaces or businesses that may not have all the necessary protocols in place to protect the health and safety of workers and that of the publics. Some people may say, I'm going to go there with complaints. You can go there with concerns. I just want to clarify that our first reaction is education. When we receive a concern about a particular business or place of employment, that may not have all the necessary procedures and precautions in place, what we do is that we take an education-first approach. We know that businesses are struggling during this time. We can't control exactly what COVID will do. We do know that our county has done a great job. Our residents, I want to thank you all for continuing to wear your face coverings, for continuing to adhere to social distancing best practices, and protecting the health of yourself, your family, your loved ones, and your community. And we got to keep going and preserve that progress. But this is an ever-changing landscape. Please stay tuned. We will have more clarity about the new state's framework and how that impacts the county's health order on our website. We'll be updating that throughout the day and most likely throughout the week as well as things continue to develop. Again, hair salons and barbershops are allowed to resume indoor operations starting today in accordance with the county's mandatory, industry-specific mandatory directives for hair salons and barbershops. Nail services and nail salons have not been allowed to resume indoor service yet. Estheticians still cannot resume indoor services, nor services to the face that requires the removal of a face covering, or even with the face covering, just no services to the face. And retail is allowed to resume operations at 25% capacity. In the name of transparency, we're still trying to figure out what that exactly looks like operationally. So we're working with the state, we're working with industry leadership to make sure that what we put out is clear, and because clarity will promote compliance on the part of employers and also on the part of customers. I just want to thank everyone for their continued patience and their continued diligence in the fight against COVID.
All right, Betty, thank you so much for all of that information.
Thank you, Larry.
All right. All right, we are going to switch gears. Here as Santa Clara County businesses await direction from local officials, some have already begun to navigate reopening after Governor Newsom's announcement last week. Yuliya Vasudev with Tony Caters joins me this morning to talk about the impact of COVID to the hospitality industry and talk about the comeback and as well as an event that is coming up for Bay Area professionals in your industry. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Larry, for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. So talk to me about the impact of COVID-19 to the hospitality industry.
Yes, so should I remove my...
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for asking this question. It has been a very difficult time for event and hospitality industry. Since the beginning of pandemic, all our events have been canceled. We've lost hundreds and thousands of dollars. All corporate events have been completely canceled. There's no comfort or confidence in even rescheduling them. There's nothing coming in the books for even the next year or next half a year. 2021, corporate clients are not comfortable scheduling any events. Yeah, just in May, we've lost over $100,000 just in prom business. So that's been a huge effect on the event industry. The other part of the industry that has been hit very hard is venues. They haven't been able to reopen at all. If they don't have outdoor space to conduct an outdoor event, they are completely out of business. They are laying people off. Same with convention centers. There's no prospect of having large in-person events until the vaccine will come out. So I know that Santa Clara Convention Center has been trying to repurpose its space to have a makeshift hospital, but otherwise there is no business happening. And according to the American Alliance of Museums, about 33% of museums in the United States cite the risk of permanent closure. So it's been very hard for the industry.
It's heartbreaking because Tony Caters is a locally owned business and the chef is the owner as well. I mean, how are you all staying afloat?
Well, we're trying to pivot. We are, right at the beginning, we had made a decision to furlough the employees for a few months. Now the catering team is on limited hours. The kitchen is operating just a few days a week, and we have a limited menu. We have to plan very carefully. and we're trying to pivot. We are trying to find the creative ways to provide our services. A lot of companies have transitioned to virtual events, and we're doing that as well. We're providing virtual cooking kits where we can mail the boxes with ingredients to the attendees, and that way we can kind of continue doing what we're doing, but in a safe way.
Manner, yeah. So I know it's been very devastating for the industry, but it's one positive note. It's actually created a bond between industry professionals, and you all have been collaborating as well.
That's right. Yeah, we're constantly thinking about the ways how we can work together, collaborate. Like even at the virtual events, many companies are working together, even with cooking kits. We're bringing in entertainment or DJs, musicians, to add the fun aspect, the team building companies, mixologists. So we're all working together to keep the fun part of the events. Events are always creative and fun. And we've been working with venues as well. Venues are trying, since the guest numbers are very limited right now, they're offering micro packages to the clients, and we are collaborating. We're offering maybe simpler menus, shorter hours. So yeah, I've started a series of webinars as a dialogue between the event professionals to come up with and brainstorm about for ideas for the collaboration.
So speaking of those roundtable discussions that you're having online, you have an event that's actually coming up this Thursday, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah,
tell us about that.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I am working on the webinar that will happen this Thursday, September 3rd at 2 o'clock. And this is a second webinar in the series, Navigating the Reopening. It's a collaborative panel discussion with and for Bay Area event professionals. You can find more information how to register for the webinar on our Instagram and Facebook pages, Tony Caters, Tony Caters. So COVID-19 has presented short and long-term effects that are questioning our viability and resilience. So the intention for this webinar is, again, to come together and support each other, have an open conversation about the ideas, how we can support each other and work together to come out of the current situation. And I have an amazing panel of event professionals and thought leaders who will share their opinions on the current state of events, the prospects for recovery, what will the new normal look like for events, and whether our current revenue streams are still viable. Can we still continue doing what we're doing, or we have to pivot completely and switch gears and do a completely new thing? And the main goal is, again, to come together and work on how we can collaborate and stay strong and work.
So again, people can find you on Facebook or Instagram at Tony Caters and sign up for the webinar that is coming up this Thursday. Yes. What are your hopes for the hospitality industry going forward?
Well, hospitality industry is all about events, and events are about bringing people together and creating unforgettable moments and celebrating all these important events in life. So I do believe that in-person events will stay, no matter how popular the virtual events have become recently. People do need in-person interaction. So we are all hoping for the comeback of in-person events, starting with lower numbers and gradually increasing the numbers. Our main priority right now is to overcome the pandemic and to fight it. And we are open to working together with the county and coming up with the guidelines to prepare and speed up the process of the reopening. And the next few months is the holiday season. And I know a lot of companies will be looking into ways to acknowledge their employees and maybe instead of holiday parties, send them something. So we are coming up with the Tony's Holiday Pantry, which will be a festive meal that the company can send to their employees with a message from the CEO, the president. And that way they can celebrate and together as a company.
Virtually, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's...
Yeah, I missed the event so much, and,
Right.
and going to the hotels and eating the food,
Yeah.
and of course I missed the buffets.
Yes,
as well.
yeah.
Any closing thoughts you'd like to share?
Yeah, it has been a hard time for our industry, but it's been amazing to see how supportive the community has been. And instead of competing with each other, we're now working together and trying to see how we can safely start doing events. So, as I've mentioned, this webinar is the second one in the series. The first one was dedicated to the venues, and the main question was, what are the safety procedures and measurements and measures that we can put in place, and how can we communicate it to the people that we can do events safely once we reopen. And it's a good time right now for us to strategically plan for the reopening. That's why we're talking about that. We don't know what the event landscape will look like, but we have to prepare for that. So I hope to see many of you join us at the webinar, which is coming this Thursday, September 3rd at 2 o'clock.
Yuliya, thank you so much for being here and sharing the information. And we hope people will go to your Facebook, Instagram, Tony Caters, and sign up for the webinar, because a lot of businesses are definitely interested in how they will navigate the reopening. Just before we close here, I want to give you a website. If you have complaints or concerns about COVID and going to businesses, you can go to seccovidconcerns.org. Again, that is seccovidconcerns.org. Of course, a lot more information coming up this week as we navigate reopening many businesses here in the county and providing information. Again, stay tuned to our social media sites here on Instagram, Facebook, as well as YouTube, and we will be providing that information shortly. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you. That's it? Okay.